Cosmic Tea Hour 999. I am here with my podcast partner, Ash Banta. Peter has been overcoming COVID and is at a doctor's appointment getting a checkup right now. Thank you so much for the prayers for us, and we've been praying for you alongside praying for ourselves. I recently had a car accident where I got rear-ended and I pushed my car into the car in front of me. And we had to take a time out from our last podcast so that I can do some work through my concussion. And, we were navigating COVID and all these other fun medical things that, now we're getting to the other end of, thank God. So thank you so much for all your prayers and love, and welcome to a great episode. Super excited to bring this to you. Okay. Ash and I today prepared a series for you, and we called it the Mindful Garden. And we said, what are ways that we navigate our own lives with, here's these healing modalities, and each of us are going to alternate, take turns, what we're talking about and why, and come together on that to share with you today. So Ash, do you want to go over the list that we created as healing modalities?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing, and these are ways that we use healing for ourselves. And so this is our perspective on this. So I like to practice yoga. Yoga helps with your physical body. That's something that we should be mindful of, is taking care of our physical body, but it also helps us connect the brain and also create harmony, and it gives us more energy, just an overall physical and mental wellness.
Beautiful. The next thing on our list, and this is a bigger topic, is mindfulness. And this is where we wanted to really break into what we are calling the Mindful Garden. And it has these attributes in it. One piece leads into the other. Hi, Mag. How are you? Okay, so we have, first and foremost, it's been in reflection of the experiences that we've been having lately, where we practice these things, we believe these things, but it's different when you have to slow down. What's up, Trina? How are you, sweetheart? Slowing down. Having this concussion experience, I only had so much of a battery to be able to use, as opposed to the way that I normally operate inside my life. And that taught me, or showed me, intentionality, that I had to choose very carefully what I was going to give my energy to, because I needed so much time to rest my brain. So gentleness, there is a power in gentleness, a power in slowing down, a power in getting very soft, just existing, the power of being in ease, the power of trying to just center yourself, be in beingness, and how many wonderful results come from being in this softer, easier energy. Okay, so we said it begins with getting intentional. It starts with gentleness. Gentleness is the opening to these things. And as we get gentle, it benefits us to be grounded. So we ground our energy in, we collect ourselves. We say, I'm going to take the sabbatical from the external, and I'm just going to come sit with myself and source in union. I'm just going to sit and get grounded and be very rooted and do my best to be still and relaxed, to get into the place of no thought, which is total potentiality. Meaning that if we can calm down our minds, all the things that we think we're in charge of, control of, responsible for, all of it, write it all down somewhere if you need to, but get relaxed and try to be as clear as possible. Clear your mind. We hear that, but there's a difference between hearing that and allowing for that. So if we could clear our mind and just focus on being gentle with ourselves, gentle with others, gentle with what we think and how much we're thinking, now we can focus on intentionality. Being intentional with our word choice, being intentional with what we decide to think. And one of the things that Ash and I have been having as a conversation is the importance of mindfulness. And we can only really speak from our experience. So speaking from mine, when I was getting baptized into being a Buddhist, we had a list of vows that we had to say yes to be accepted into lineage. And one of those that sticks out to me is patience under insult, because I grew up with people who were not afraid to use their voice and say what they really felt, and more comfortable with being argumentative than not. I was a very emotional person when I was younger, so it seemed like a big ask for me at the time, because I didn't really understand the power of light and the power of gentleness. So now, being on the other side of it, Ash and I say to each other recently, the ego will allow you to, at any given point in time, there's always the silent witness inside. There's the God source inside you. And then there's your high self. There's the power within. As you connect to that power within, there's still the ego. And the ego is going to let you take in, believe, hold space for what it wants you to. And it's always kind of this dance. There's always a collaboration going on inside here, and deciding, and at first in our mindfulness journey, we may not be as aware of where the ego is leading us versus our mindfulness. And we were laughing too, because we both have spiritual based businesses, and we say to ourselves, if we didn't have to, I said to her earlier today, if I didn't have to give myself a label, if I could just say to you, come sit with me and we'll prepare, crystals or meditation or reading or whatever it is, and we'll have a wonderful positive experience together that will both come out from joyful and expanded and transformed, which is the healing aspect. And you'll pay me for that, and we'll both enjoy ourselves, and you'll be glad that you paid me for it. That's what I would market myself as. And, it's the business that causes us, the business part of like, you have to explain to people what you're going to do for them. That makes it a little bit, into separation, and can get egoic. It's tricky to walk. But the gentleness, the intentionality, and the mindfulness lead itself to clarity. And that's something else we're going to get in a little bit. When we understand that we entered into a 3D world that has a lot of different types of energy in it, we are literally all in this gamut of energy together, higher, lower, middle, like all over the place. And that is a good reason to have compassion for each other all by itself. And that's a good reason to have patience for each other all by itself. Our belief systems that we are taught by our friends, family, life experiences get cultivated. Some people question what we're taught, and some people do not. Some people are taught that being selfish is the way. Some people are taught that selflessness is the way. If we are motivated to or inspired to question what is good for us, what is right for us, what works for us, if we get to that point, that's when we can develop a sense of self and a sense of self-esteem, self-awareness, and decide what is right for us to believe. So this, if we decide love is the answer, love is the way, I came in as love, I'm going to exist here in love, and I'm going to leave in love, well then love is not about frustration or anger or these things. We experience them because we're human, but then once we feel them, once we acknowledge them, what we do with them really defines how we live, how we feel, what our bodies experience, what our mind state is, and how we interact with others. So as we stand in the silent observer, as we stand in the God within, as we stand with our high self, connected to everything, if we always have this stream of consciousness that is love inside of us, that's ever present, that we can step into, lean into, and focus on. The ego? The ego is not going anywhere, but we can decide how we work with it, what we do with it, why is it there, and what can we do as we raise our level of consciousness and awareness to put that ego in a place where we say, hey, listen, ego, you're not the boss, and I'm not following behind you. I'm going to tell you to sit back and observe while I'm the one who gets in the driver's seat. So, Ash, take over and talk to us about what is the ego.
I know we always hear ego, and like I didn't really fully understand what ego was. And so I actually had to, I did a little bit, but I always thought ego was being a narcissist. And it's not. They're totally different. They can be related, but they're totally different. And so I've done a lot of research on this, and I'm just gonna say a couple of the ones that I've written down that I think that are important, that will help us understand the ego better, and these egos that bring belief systems, negative belief systems into our lives. So number one is egocentricity. This is where you think the world evolves around you. You're the center of attention everywhere you go. This is something that me as a person and as a friend, I was not a good friend because I would talk about myself and I would never ask about the other person. And then I got hit with that, like, well, specifically with my spouse, and we have learning experiences, but she was like, well, you never asked me about my day, or you don't ask me about this or that, you just start talking about yourself. And so it's just little lessons like that to understand how you stand in this kind of ego. So number two is egotism. This is the belief that you are better or more important than others. Three is egomania. This one is the belief that the world owes you everything and that you're entitled to have all your wishes and dreams come true. And then the inability to learn. I think this is all of these things are, I've worked through every single one of them. And I'm sure everyone out there works through these sometimes on a daily basis. But the inability to learn, like I used to be very closed-minded. And so I used to think I knew everything. And this is what this means. It's you're unwilling to adapt, you're unwilling to learn, you're closed-minded, and you think that you're always right. And that is honestly, like, this took me about a year to get through, because it's, like, you have a belief system that you believe in for so long. And when you're brought with something else that's like, hey, maybe you should check this, or bring, like a different perspective. And I would stand there and be like, no, I'm right. I'm right. And then I would get mad and angry. And then sometimes I would form resentments. And then I would try to teach them what I learned. And that's it's just not a positive experience. And that is so these negative beliefs, they cause us to form judgmental opinions and belief systems. They're very harmful beliefs. You can form these beliefs about yourself, about the world, and these can come from deeply rooted, like past experiences, like if you had a rough childhood and you felt inadequate, or someone told you wasn't good enough. Um, and this affects how we think and feel and behave today, and this can have devastating impacts on our lives, on other people's lives. And so then I'm going to take you into number 5, which is risk taking. This is the belief that you're invincible and that you're always correct. um, I'm going to tell you about an experience recently. I was at a client's house giving a reading, and her cousin came over, and he was just kind of curious, and that was okay. And so he said, like, he always does anything that he's not supposed to do because he just knows that everything's going to work out for him. And so he just pushes the bounds. He's a risk taker. And there can be consequences to this eventually. And so that leads into number 6, which is arrogance. And this is the belief that you are entitled and you're boastful about yourself. And so the whole point of ego is understanding what type of ego, because these are easily, you can work through these, and letting go of belief systems. And so, Teresa, I'm going to hand this back to you because I think this goes along with what comes next.
I agree with you. I just also want to kind of add in or like flesh out the ideology of ego. If Peter were here, this would be like a part where he could segment in, because if we look at astrology, our sun placement represents our personality, aka the ego. So with that being said, the ego is always going to be with us. It's part of what makes us who we are. It's how we work with it, what we allow to be in it, how much power we give it. Is it leading us or are we leading it? Because it's healthy to have a good ego. But what makes our ego not healthy? And that is where self-awareness comes in. And we can really only navigate these experiences from within. Like, I know recently we were having a conversation because we're setting up, things to come next to next. And one of the individuals said, you guys are talking about an ascension that's happening, but where's the evidence of this ascension? And, I brought it up to Nancy, and I said to her, how come we're feeling these shifts more impactfully? And she said, well, ascension happens from within. So dimensional frequency, or the dimensions, are states of consciousness. And the people who allow themselves to get into a more subtle place of consciousness, metaphysics, channeling, psychic, the non-physical, are more apt to feel. The more sensitive of vibrations that you feel, the more you're going to feel the impact of these things. So in the discussions that Ash and I were having that led to having this subject be for today's podcast, we were saying it's time to do the interior work, but what does that look like? Well, we talk about going within And that was a big thing. Like, what does it mean to go within? And how do we benefit from going within? And why do we always got to go within? Because there's so much of our society that shows us if we want something, we have to go outside of ourselves to get it. It's in the TV, it's in the radio. Well, we want to experience love. So we'll go look for it in partnership, or we'll go look for validation from people that are in our lives. Or I'm healing and this person did this to me. And then we have these feelings towards this other person for the things that they did, but we are not willing to own our part in how we corresponded to them. And it's riddled in everything. So like you and I work in a sphere of spirituality and healing, so we hear it more when people are coming in for readings or for healings, or to even make the custom crystal pieces. What are you looking to work on? Healing is such a big thing. I mean, even now, you heard about healing at different times. Doctors, whatever, they had advertisements. You cannot watch YouTube, go on Facebook or Instagram now and not have an advertisement for better health, not have an advertisement for therapy, especially after COVID.
Right.
And now you have so many people that have exploded into spirituality and now really looking to the spiritual, because when we had the shutdown that we experienced, people were looking for ways to feel better and looking, they had to stop what they were doing. And that's a really good example of intentionality. I couldn't love this way anymore. Something externally forcefully stopped me. And now I have to question who I am. Wow. I was so busy doing whatever I was doing that I didn't stop to think about who I was. But now I'm forced to stop and sit with myself in my own space and wonder who I am and about my life and where I want to take my life next. Okay. So using that as the example, we talk about meditation, connection, the power of union to what we have inside. So many people, and we've experienced this a lot on so many different podcasts, it's really tough for me to meditate. And we say, well, meditation is calming your mind and calming down and sitting. Oh no, I can't sit well. I don't sit well. I don't go within well. My mind doesn't stop well. But these are habits. When you really break it down, why it's hard to meditate is because it's hard for you to sit with yourself. It's hard for you to calm your mind down. And those things are practices. They are disciplines. And if we are not willing to do them, then we can't get the benefit of them. And if it's weird or hard, or you don't have experience with meditation, start with prayer. When you start sitting down, you say, you know what, I'm going to come in my room. I'm going to close the door. I'm going to turn the lights down low. I maybe use a diffuser, maybe not, maybe have a light on, maybe not. I find it better to meditate in low light because there's less distraction. I start my meditation in a conversation with God. Conversation, hey, thank you for my life, and here I am. And I just talk about whatever needs to be said. And then I chill out and listen. What can I do to be still? What can I do to relax my body? What can I do to say, ego, take a nap? And if we start having a conversation with the ego, which The Untethered Soul is a great example, a great book to talk about this. If we start negotiating with the ego in our head while we meditate, it's us, one aspect of our ego, having an argument with another aspect of our ego. It's, so where do we calm down? How do we get grounded? So we need to start somewhere to push the ego out and say, I'm going to put some space in between my thoughts. And that's where breath work comes in, or where breath can be so helpful. So having the clarity to meditate, to pray. I'm not going to tell you how to pray, but I think that a big part of prayer work that has really had significant benefit to me is when you are navigating daily life, you're going to come into the gamut of experiences: health, finances, relationships, other people, other people's ego, other people's feeling. And you might agree, you might not agree. So our teachers greet us in ways that act as a soul companion, which is someone who supports us and loves us and makes us feel great, or somebody that irritates the crap out of us. Either way, and the gamut in between. So, and when we meet these people, it's so important to say thank you for being a great teacher, because if you support me and make me feel great, you show me where I've done the work. Or maybe we'll learn this work together in a loving, happy way. The person who irritates the bejesus out of you, that's the person who's teaching you where you still have work to do, where you still have healing to do. So you can say, thank you for being a great teacher. I got to go check myself. Time for me to go pray. And when you align to them, a really cool trick that Nancy taught me, and it's not really a trick, it's more like a mindfulness, is to forgive yourself. I forgive myself for whatever I had going on internally that allowed me to line up and meet you today in the way that we did. I, I thank you for being a great teacher and showing me that I was not consciously aware that I had that to heal, but now I am so aware that I have that to heal. And wherever that wound is, past life, past tense, this life, present, future, different timeline, alternative reality, wherever it is, I just ask that wound to be dissolved. And thank you for showing me that we needed to do that work together. Namaste. Namaste. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. Thank God. Bye. And like, no, but what am I generating for myself and the way I live my life by doing those things is the peace and happiness that I'm looking for. You know, we talk about, oh, I just wish I didn't have to be stressed. I didn't have to be frustrated. I just want to be happy. I just want to be grounded. I just want, take away the I just want to. Have left happiness, because the I just want to is the ego part. The happiness is the silent observer, the God source, the thing that's always available to us. And these are the same places when we have law of attraction that we run into, where we're like, I want. Well, what are you believing about what you want? Is it easy to have, or is it challenging to have? Is it easily attainable? Does it feel natural to you to hold it, possess it, come into contact with it? Or are you holding it away from you because of whatever unresolved stuff you have going on that you're generating is somebody else's or something outside of you's fault for why you haven't come together with it? We got to check ourselves. And this is how self-awareness is born. And it doesn't benefit us to beat ourselves up. It doesn't benefit ourselves to shame ourselves or to carry around guilt or inflict intentional pain on ourselves. We have to start where we are at. Forgive ourselves for whatever painful situations we put ourselves in the past. Forgive the other people who were part of the teachers that came with those experiences, and say, today I make a vow to myself, because I love myself and I love you and I want to start fresh. And just name your day. You can start at any time. And what I've learned over and over again in different situations is that real healing happens instantly. It is a transformation that takes you from point A to point B. And it's the ego needs to process healing. The ego is in the constant, consistent process of healing. And I don't know about our viewers out there, but I do know that you and I have met people on this end, being the reader or the healer or whatever, but I'm in the process of healing. I'm in the process of healing. I'm working through the healing. I'm going through the healing. The healing. It has been 10 years, Sharona. Where's the healing? You're still in the same spot. That's not healing. I don't feel healed when I talk to you. I don't think you're healed. I love you so much, but like Nancy said it best the other day when we were talking about it, and it's not a judgment of the person, it's just the behavior. It works or it doesn't work. When you really want to heal, you will make a dedication to the healing. And this is the tricky part, where the ego, the ego gets you.
Hopefully she'll come back.
Here I am. Hi.
Oh, there you are.
Hi. It's okay. And that's where I was going with the whole patient under insult thing. When I had to vow into Buddhism, is like, when we start out in our spiritual path, we're not, we don't remember that we're perfect. We don't remember that we have it all going on and we know it all. Ego joke. No. We are living in the conditions that are given to us, and the ego and the slosh of energy. And now, as we go through the spiritual journey, that's when we remember. So me 13 years ago, and even up until recently, patience under insult, it was a practice. The practice came with meditation. The meditation itself was the act of being mindful and putting into practice. So old me, kid me, teenage me, early 20 me, different me. Much more aggressive me, much more ready to have the fight me, much more ready to engage me anytime, anywhere, any place with anybody. Or late 20s me, 30s me, I don't want to have it. I'm exhausted. I don't have that kind of energy. I can't give that away. No. And reducing the conflict in my life, getting into the state of harmony, understanding how much I love feeling happy and how good it feels. So I choose happiness. I choose harmony. I choose the people that I have harmony with. I choose the everything in my life on my spiritual journey has guided me to intentionality of who gets to exist in my life, what gets into exist in my life, how I live, the choices I make. And I'm super acutely aware at all times that my choices dictate how my life, inside and out. And when I'm faced with something externally, I have to go sit and question, how did you get here? Why are you here? And so, circling back, if it's tough to meditate, try praying. Praying will help you to get into the mindful space. Gentleness, intentionality, mindfulness leads to clarity, leads to connection, leads to the compassion we have for ourselves and others, leads to the ability to forgive, leads to the ability to have patience, leads to the ability to be in that loving space that allows us to have the lifestyles that we want to live, if you let that happen.
Right.
Okay, so breath work. I mentioned breath work. In between these trains of thought that we allow to drive in our station, very slow station recently, tell me the benefits of breath work.
So breath work is beyond, like, I can say this is the most healing thing you can do for yourself. So breath work literally shifts your entire energy, your genetics, the blood flow of your body, your mind, body, and soul. And when you do, like, okay, for instance, sometimes I will do breathwork ceremonies. They are guided. And matter of fact, Teresa did one recently with me. But when you go in and you are, this literally gives flow to your brain. It starts realigning. It starts releasing old energy. It starts pulling in positive energy. It releases stagnant energy. And it allows you to go, like, raise your vibration, to get new perspectives. One time in this breathwork ceremony, I had no idea what to expect. I just knew to, like, lay down. There was one point where I was screaming, because as you're breathing and doing this, it doesn't matter, like, your mouth can get dry, depending on how long you do it. But for me personally, like, at one point I started crying, and I was like, oh, that needed to heal as I'm doing this deep breath work. And then after I was crying, then I started laughing hysterically. And then I'm like, it was just funny. And then after laughing, I'm screaming. So like I'm realizing that I'm going through different emotions, and it wasn't in like all you're doing is breath work. And so then I go through anger and it's screaming and I'm physically letting it out of my body, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so as this is releasing and releasing, then I was getting into like a calm, like my vibration was like raising, and what that feels like your whole entire body just is tingling. And so by the end of this breathwork ceremony, I've worked through trauma and pain and laughter and like tons of all the emotions, the wide range of emotions. And then when it was over, I had like this clear perspective and a full body, mind, body, and soul shift as I stood up, like my ears were ringing, and that's when you know you have shifted. You have really shifted into another dimension of vibration. Like the old is gone and you are a completely new person. And so breath work can literally be breathwork ceremonies, but also sitting in talking about meditation. There's times where, like, a lot of times when we breathe, we don't breathe from our stomachs, we breathe from our chest. And you know what that is? That's breathing from stress, anxiety. Like, you're not giving your brain enough air, blood flow. So when you breathe deep from within your stomach, and you're sitting in your car and you don't know how, like, say you have a lot of anxiety or stress, or you don't know how to meditate, and you don't even have time for it. If you're just sitting there and you just, I mean, deep within your stomach, and you just knowing, like, listening to your breath in meditation. So, like, going back to meditation, sometimes I will listen to music. A lot of times I put on an eye mask, because even the darkness, I need dark because I'm ADHD. So my mind is constantly shifting. And so putting the mask on, putting earphones on, I always put blankets on because I get cold when I go into like channeling states or meditation. And so being able to, or then sometimes I just listen to my breath. So you can play music, you can have Native American music or vibrations or sound frequencies, solfeggio, I think that's how you say it. There's a great app for that really helps me. But and then sometimes I'll just sit on my couch and listen to my breath. And listening to the breath is that's the true nature of God, of source. And that is more powerful, and it's getting clear. It clears your mind, it clears your energy, it calms your mind, and it allows you to be in the moment and be in the now, not be where I was yesterday or 5 minutes ago, or what I'm thinking about doing for dinner, or like your mind just breathe, allowing that breath, the air go to your head, realign, calming it down, and then allowing you to be clear and be present in the present moment.
I agree with you. I mean, so I think that you just like the good thing or the fun thing is that there's so many things.
Yes.
And we always have about an hour show and we always run over because we love to talk about these things. So sound therapy, sound, music, vibration, frequency changes us. Vibration is everything, is the whole world. So, you know, what we feel, what we think, what we believe creates a vibration and it goes around us.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I love most, because it's black and white, it's non-negotiable. What you think, feel, and believe creates a vibration, and that's what you put out into the world. You can put out duality where this version of you is clear and it puts out love and kumbaya, and then there's the other aspect of you that if it's stress, frustration, whatever, blah 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 blah, you put that out into the world too. If you have fear around rejection, fear around money, fear of abandonment, it's blah, 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 it's there, it's vibrating, it's going to happen, you know, and you'll get more of it, and you'll get more people who do the things that you don't like because you're engaging in believing, thinking, and feeling them to begin with. And that's why it's so important to do any type of self-work at all, because that is our ticket to changing the narrative of the external experiences that we come in contact with. And still could cuss you guys. Aside from my previous focus and all excited, you know, trying cognition and keeping the thought flow flowing is the thing to work on right now. All right, so and then nature, you know, we have the vibration of nature. Nature is one of the highest vibrational things that we could correspond with. It helps us to get grounded, it helps us to get aligned, and it's so important to put ourselves into vibrational spaces that really support who we are, support what feels good, support our alignment and our comfort. And that's people, places, and things, you know, and the intentionality or the slow down. Like my old boss used to say all the time, Teresa, you got to slow down to speed up. And I'd be working at a furious pace, trying to be the most progressive top dog that there was. Ego, you know, I'm gonna make the most money and I'm gonna have the most accomplishment. I'm gonna get it all done. I'm gonna buy a house and a car, and then I'm gonna be perfect. You know, it's like, you know, no, slow it down, slow it down. And now, I mean, like I said, in recent events, I understand things in such a stronger way than I ever have before, because we learn through spirals, we learn through layers. We hear the same words, we feel, you know, the same teachings come to us, and we can read the same sentence over and over again, and wherever we're at in our state of consciousness, we're going to hear, see, feel that sentence differently. We can say God is love, and those who live in love live in God. And at every place that as you're going through your ascension process, one day you might love that, one day you might hate that, one day you might feel that, one day that might inspire your gratitude to the point you cry and you hug yourself because you're so overwhelmed with how loved you are, and you have all this free will to be whatever you want to be, and at the end of the day you're still loved. Maybe you start reflecting over your choices. So, you know, nature, breath work, sound, when we incorporate what you were talking about the other day too, is fire breathing. I love fire breathing, especially before a healing, a meditation, a class. Fire breathing is great because it gets you right into the heart center, and you can't fire breathe and wherever your head was beforehand at the same time.
Nope.
So fire breathing, and I think we mentioned it in a previous podcast, but we'll do it again here. Even if you do 8 of them, and those who are watching, if you do it too, you will feel the difference immediately. And we'll do 8 of them. I call it fire breathing because you look like a dragon, and it doesn't really matter what you look like because it feels great. So yeah. I couldn't think about any of my problems while I did that. Nope. I couldn't think about anything that pissed me off while I did that. I couldn't think about anything I loved while I did that. I could only be in the breath while I did that. And that feels great. My head feels great. I feel the endorphins already rushing around in my head. That to me is healing. That's because healing to me is transformation. I right before your eyes, within seconds, I quantum leaped my vibration because I did 8 or 9 deep breaths. That to me is amazing. That's some useful.
I did that for an hour.
I understand why you went through so many different feelings, you know, because when we were doing the breath work, and it gives us a chance to take the mind and put it on over here and have the body, because the body stores this crap with us. And give the body a chance to release and have its emotional experiences. So beautiful. I'm going to try that, like the whole hour. I'm very excited.
We did it a little different. I know you did the in and out with, but the way that I did it was Hold on. I just spit. But you lay on your back and that's the way that we did it. And then sometimes we would go over and over and over again. Like I'm already getting dizzy.
Yeah, because it checks your mind out. It has to go. So we were talking about meditation. You are so gifted as a channeler, and I want to know the role of these things when you get into the channeling state for you.
There's like so many things going through my head right now.
I know, that's how I feel when people ask me questions.
I know, right? Okay. What is my role as I get into a channeling state? Is that your question?
Well, so we're talking yoga, mindfulness, meditation. There's still a few other things that we haven't even mentioned yet, but prayer. What do you, when you're getting into that state to get clear and high? You mentioned how the breath work brings you into the high, that when you hear your ears ring and you can think no thoughts, you've arrived, you know? When you're getting into that channeling state, when you know that you're in that place.
Yes.
What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And what of these get you there?
So what gets me there is I rock. I'm a natural rocker when I channel. Like you'll just start seeing me do this. But one of the ways that I get there, the main way I get there, is I start with the base of my spine and I envision my chakras. And it's like the spiral, like the Kundalini spiral. And I move my hips from in a circle and I envision this. And once I start doing this, and then sometimes I might go back and it doesn't take me long to get there. And sometimes I don't even have to do that. I can literally rock back and forth. And when you do that, it's just going to your heart center. Your focus is in your heart center. So you're not thinking with your mind. You're not thinking with your ego. You're not thinking what people think about you at that moment. And then it feels like a flow state. So it's like a direct connection. Feels to me like a connection to source. And so that feeling is love. And you're able to, when I channel, depending on what I channel, I get clear information that my ego brain is silent. And so it's like it's like information that I would not think of or even know to understand. And so getting into that space it's emotional. It's pure love. It's pure connection to something that is not physical, but it is tangible. I'm trying to.
I like how you smile. So I feel like if we all for a moment just contemplated love, the energy of love, the energy of unconditional love, we felt it in our body. When we thought about love, where do we feel love? What aspect of our body is in alignment with love? Do we feel it in our heart? Do we feel it in our arm? When we just contemplate the word love, the energy of love, and then we can get clued in to our own body. Is there a part of our body that begins to ache? That's an aspect of us that needs healing. And the point is, the smile that you have, that's so soft and natural on your face when you talk about channeling and getting into that pure love space. That pure love space is available to everyone. And there is an immense gratitude that comes with being in that space because of how beautiful it feels. Anytime, the reason why we seek love is because we know inherently how good real love makes us feel. But when we feel it in the inside first, then we attract people to share love with us in a way that feels joyful. Because when we are authentic with ourselves, then we attract people who authentically can connect to us as the authentic being. So when we think about how love makes us feel, it comes with gratitude. And sometimes that's just the meditation in itself. It's just love, 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 love. I love love. I feel joyful for love. Thank God I'm made out of love. Thank God love lives inside me. Thank God with all the love in my life. And you just get there and you begin to zone out. Because you're just saying thank you for the love, or just repeating the word love over and over again, and you'll begin to ascend internally into a higher vibrational space just by doing that alone. You know, a lot of these things are not complicated, but they are profound in the way that they feel.
I'll tell you the best feeling is when you get grounded in nature. It's taking your shoes off, walking in the grass. You're not worrying about what you're walking on. You're connecting to the earth. Sometimes I put my hand in the dirt, put my hands in the dirt. It's like time stands still, right? And so it's like I see flowers and I touch the flowers and I connect. You're with oneness with nature. Um, it's this gratitude and love that you have for one another. That's why I love taking hikes. I love being on the water, in the water, because water is just, well, I'm a water being, so I just love water in general. I lived next to the lake my entire life and didn't realize that I was a water being. Um, but then going to, like, tomorrow, like I'm leaving at 4 a.m. and I'm going to Costa Rica with my wife. And instead of going to this vacation where like there's drinking and partying and like all inclusive resorts like we do in Mexico or Dominican, wherever we go, we decided to go to the Renal volcano, which is the rainforest, the jungle. And it has hot springs. Hot springs are very, they were created from the eruption that happened in the 70s. And so, just being in nature and listening, like, okay, if you used to fish when you were a kid, and being on an early morning on the lake where it's got all of this fog and you're hearing like the birds starting to chirp and you're looking up at the moon. I mean, the moon or the sun, and sun gazing is so healing. It actually activates your pineal gland. It's not harmful to your eyes. It's actually healing. It cleanses that off. It breaks all the blockages from it. But standing out in the moon late at night when you hear um, nothing but silence and you're standing there in oneness with the earth, and it's that vision of, if you've ever seen that picture of like, or ever heard of as above so below, and you see like there's like a moon, and then you're in the middle, or the tree, and then the sun, and it connects as one, like as above so below. And it's the oneness that you are with creation. It's the oneness that you are with with Christ consciousness, with yourself as a soul. You know that you are here living in a human body, but you're having a soul experience. And that is the most healing aspect for me, is being outside. Like every night I go, because thankfully I live in the country. I'm able to go outside and look up at the moon, and I'll take my 5-year-old. We lay out on the deck and we look up at the stars. Anytime that there's nature that we can see, we go walking in it. Um, Hugging trees. It might sound silly, but I promise you it is not. Trees have been around for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. They have seen and heard everything. They are full of knowledge. I think it's the heartbeat of Mother Earth, honestly. And my 5-year-old, every time we see a tree, we hug trees. And I always ask permission. I always say, "Tree, may I hug you?" And then I hugged them, and the tree started responding to me. So then I'm having this telepathic communication with the tree, and the tree is like, they always say, "Hello, little one." They always call me little one. I don't know why, but they do. And it's just like this heart connection of you're physically touching it, but also spiritually connected to it. And they talk to me, and they have sometimes they have like this earth accent, or they always have an earth accent, but depending on location, it might have a different vibration, because I mean, but that's beside the point. The whole point is, what I'm saying is connecting to earth, connecting to trees. Like my son yesterday, when my wife went and picked him up from my grandmother's, he was standing outside with a tree branch, hugging it like this. And she was like, she hollered at my grandma, and she was like, "Do you know what he's doing?" She's like, "Let me guess, he's hugging a tree or a branch." And I love that, because just when you get to a certain age, and I won't get into this much, but when you get to a certain age, you start losing, around the age of 8, you start losing your spiritual, or when you come into the world, you come in wide open. And so I'm very grateful that I've been able to teach my son at a very early age of being in nature and walking barefooted, and meditating. And so he'll ask me to meditate at 5. He'll ask me to meditate, even though he only has a split second of attention span. But he will still sit there. He'll immediately like go like in full lotus position. He'll rock. It doesn't matter. Like, and that is very humbling. And that's all I have on that. I can keep going.
I like, so I'm going to use your nature subject to segue into, we were talking about the role of crystals in the healing experience, and obviously we're both big fans. So there's some pieces I wanted to bring to this. One, I've had a conversation recently that was very illuminating to me, and I want to debunk or be very clear about what we're bringing to the table when we're talking about crystals, okay? For me, can't talk about anyone else, only me. Crystals are not a replacement for God. They're not a replacement for what the Creator, Christ consciousness, 5D and above, it's not a replacement for the Creator. They are beings like we are beings. They have a vibrational frequency like we have a vibrational frequency. They are not bogged down by the crap that we get bogged down, because they don't have an ego. So simply holding one that is in a high vibration will help your vibration also be in a higher space. Okay? They do a lot for us. And the reason why, and I had this conversation with Ash for weeks now, different parts of this conversation. I say this to you because a lot of people want to subscribe to metaphysical properties. And when I was younger, so did I. I had every single book that was ever made on crystals, and I read it cover to cover over and over again, because I'm obsessive about, part of my ego personality is I need to know. I need to know everything. I need to know the full scope of it, the beginning, the end, the middle. What does it do? How does it work? I want to grab the whole subject and know it inside and out. And then I feel great when I arrive to that point. And because I love crystals so much since such a young age, this veracity, ambition, inspiration, I did that. I read every book as soon as I knew how to read, and it would be read to and would pour over. It's not enough to read a metaphysical book one time and get an understanding of these crystals. I read them over and over again, obsessively, until I knew what every metaphysical property of every single crystal was. And then I was like, okay, now I know what they all do. How do they work? I know what I feel. I know what my experience with crystals were organically before I read these metaphysical properties. But now that I'm aware that these crystals have these metaphysical properties, well, now how can I use that for my benefit? Or, now it became kind of prescription oriented. Well, I need a hematite, I need a black tourmaline, I need a this for this, this for this, for this, for that. You need a this for this, a this for that. I'll buy you this or that. Whatever your ailment, issue, what goal was, I'm gonna get you a this for that, including myself. But then as I experienced working with the crystals, the energy of the crystals, I realized that there was so much more to the energy of working with crystals that went well beyond the metaphysical experience. This really crystallized for me when I was in my late teens, and I found the opportunity to get a piece of atacamite. And this was before moldavite and tektites and Liberian glass and strawberry quartz and Quesera all became like the hottest thing since sliced bread, and were like the thing, the cool in crowd, high energy thing. Atacamite put you in touch with aliens. You got to have high communication with extraterrestrials. And I was ready, so ready for whatever that experience was going to be. And it was expensive and it was hard to find. So here I am one day, and I'm at a crystal shop, and I come across a piece of atacamite, and I read the label, and I'm like, no, it can't be. Oh my God, no way. No, you don't have atacamite on the shelf. Wait, you have atacamite and it only costs this amount of money?
Right.
I had to literally take my eyes and put them back into my head and then put my body back together, because I literally lost my crap when I was so excited to find this piece of atacamite that was something I could afford at the time. So I buy it and I bring it home, and I'm so ready. I'm connected. Oh God, I can't wait. And I'm like holding it, and I'm so in tune with crystals. Whatever crystals I had, I use them, and I'm like, oh, I love you, I feel you, I can get this benefit. I'm really jiving with this one. I could hear them, I could feel them, I could know which ones were best for people. I got messages from them, I got energy from them, I got alignment with them. And so I'm blasted into the highest form of excitement that I could be in with this piece of atacamite, because I'm about to literally touch the stars. And then, to my surprise, nothing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Is this thing on? Am I doing it wrong?
Can you hear me?
Why are we not in touch with space yet? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Maybe you're not ready. That's okay. I'll just meditate with you. We'll take it slow. Buy you dinner first? Okay, cool. So I take all the experience and knowledge that I have working with all these other crystals. And I want to put this in perspective. I started working with crystals when I was 2. I went to my first crystal show at 5. And by me being 6 years old, I had a collection of over 400 crystals, okay? They decorated my room. I laid on the floor as a kid. I had conversations with them. I drove my mom nuts because she literally had to wait for me to eat lunch until I was done having the conversations with my crystals. This has been an affair, a lifelong affair, okay? So I have all these things, all these experiences with all these other crystals, and this atacamite is shy? Okay. So I'm like, all right, let me take all the experience and everything I know and channel into this. Nothing. Day 1, nothing. Week 1, nothing. Month 1, nothing. How can it be nothing? How can this book that says this metaphysical property about this be nothing? So I'm like, it doesn't occur to me that maybe I'm not supposed to get in touch with extraterrestrials. That doesn't even come in contact with my level of ambition. So I put it on the shelf, and I'm like, well, I don't know the answer. I'm going to go back to work with my rose quartz. Boom. Ascension. I start seeing these different sacred geometry patterns. I go, and I'm like, wait a minute. Rose quartz, self-love, healing, love between others and me, attackmite, extraterrestrial. But here I am working with this rose quartz, and now I'm having an extraterrestrial experience? Okay. Well, how far does this go? Where are we going to go from here? And that, to me, that opened up into my like big ranting stance now, that crystals are not just the metaphysical properties that we believe them to be.
Right.
And so much of the crystal world commercially hinges upon the metaphysical properties being what defines that crystal and what you will experience with that crystal. But to my experience and my understanding of corresponding with these crystal beings, there is so much more of a relationship, a benefit, an energy, an exchange that is going to happen that is well beyond metaphysics. And we can be looking to one crystal for a result, but it could be another crystal that brings it. And I have ample experiences where I have worked with people that came into the place I was working or a conversation with me, and they had their idea about what they wanted. And like one of my favorite stories to tell is I have a woman come in and she says, I'm here for a rose quartz. I need a rose quartz. And I'm like, oh, okay. And as she's walking in, there's a tiger eye on the shelf. It's ready to vibrate off the shelf and jump into her bag. Okay. And I'm like, I see you. If you can have a little patience, I'll work with the girl who came in. Okay. We love you. So I'm like, can you talk about why you want a rose quartz? Well, my cousin recommended I need a rose quartz because I just got out of this relationship and I'm trying to do the healing so I have a healthy next relationship. Admirable. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now we're looking at, okay, well, and this is a big deal for me. I don't want to go to the basket and give you the rose quartz that is best. Okay. When I feel very guided, this piece is for you. That might be, I'm guided to do that action when I do it. But for the most part, I want you to have the action. I want you to know and feel whatever it is. Okay. So I hand her the basket of rose quartz. I said, I want you to pick the rose quartz that feels best to you. And when you're done with that, if you're open to it, I'd also like to show you something else. So she picks her rose quartz. I say, okay, cool. Please go walk around the store with this rose quartz. Take nice big breaths. Try to clear your mind and allow yourself to just be present. She walks around the store. She goes, I don't really feel anything. I go, okay, that's okay. No problem. Anything you feel or don't feel is okay. Now I grab the tiger eye, moment to shine. I put it in her hand and I go, okay, do the same thing. Go walk around the store. See how you feel. Let me know when you come back. Breaths, presence. Okay. She walks around the store. She goes, this one feels great. It makes me feel excited. I feel clear. I feel energized. It's vibrating in my hand. It makes me feel like I don't even need to think about the partner that I had. It just makes me really excited to be alive. And I don't like, what am I saying? Why am I saying these things? Like, where is all this coming from? The tiger eye. Yeah. We come in, it's the combination of her with that tiger eye. So the most recent conversation that started why we're having this dialogue now, it to me, I would say if you got a cold and you need an antibiotic, you'd go get an antibiotic. If you broke your leg, you'd get a cast. If I do these things, I lean into my crystals because whatever affects the physical body is the densest vibration that we have. But our dense vibration is layered under in our metaphysical bodies. Meta meaning smaller than the eye can see, but we can still feel them. We have our emotional body, our intellectual body, our spiritual body, our psychic body, our past lives, our ancestry. So when we go through these these bodies, this is where a lot of the disharmony that creates physical ailments exist. But it's right here in these metaphysical bodies where the crystals are going to work. And when the crystals are going to work in these metaphysical bodies, when they put us in a frequency, vibration, or place that we like, that's when we feel it in the physical body. That's when we come into the awareness of it. That's when we say, I feel this. This is happening for me. This is the shift that I can experience is taking place for me. And that is so dependent on you and the crystal and the uniqueness of both of those things coming together and the unlimited potentiality that it can create. So when you say, well, what does this do? Or what is this going to do for me? And you're operating out of the commercialized idea of metaphysical properties, you're going to limit what you can experience because you're working out of this narrative that you've been taught. But if you open it up and say, I'm just going to hold space for alignment, I'm going to attract the crystal that's for my best and highest good. I'm going to set the intention. I had a woman the other day came up to me. She goes, I have a headache and I know crystals help. Do you have anything for that? Let's see. Set the intention. I have a headache and I don't want to have any more head pain. Is there any crystal on this table right now that will help relieve my head pain? And I do the scan technique with her and we go through the energy and she comes on this bracelet and she puts it on and she goes, oh my God, what did you do? My headache is gone. Me? Nothing. I facilitated the experience. It was between you and the crystal. It was your energy and the energy of that crystal that came together. It wouldn't work the same. That was her experience. Someone else's experience is going to be different. They'd get something else. So when you're talking about crystals, nature, healing, just know how unique it is and how interdependent it is with you. You, your energy, your universal force, the source itself, God, you. Crystals are not God. Crystals are not the creator. Crystals are an accoutrement to your being. You don't need them for ascension. You don't need anything for ascension. They are like a teacher. A teacher comes into our life and quickens the experience. Okay, we're all clear on these things. So we were talking about deliberate living versus default living. Deliberate living would take in all of the things that we've discussed today. Gentleness, soft energy, ease, slow down, get mindful, self-awareness, compassion, patience, forgiveness. Don't take things personally. What people do is what is a reflection of them. What you do is a reflection of you. This brings you into the love space. Be kind to yourself. Be soft with others. See things as a teacher. Allow yourself to be in Zen. Your peace is your business. You can only control your peace. You can't make other people be peaceful with you, and you can't let them take you out of your peace because your peace is your responsibility. And this is between us and us, how we work with the ego, how we navigate the ego. Tools you can use if you choose to that we have had positive experiences with: yoga, mindfulness, essential oils. We didn't even get there yet, but essential oils, in short, it's not just aromatherapy. They are a disruptor in our chemical compounds, our chain of our DNA. And they're finding so many extraordinary things. Like I got asked to be a speaker on October 9th for working with neurodivergent children and the importance of mindset. And this woman who asked me to do it, Terry Pace, she actually is a holistic practitioner who specializes in essential oils because when she was pregnant, her uterus ruptured and her son was born with physical and mental disability. They went to the hospital 24 times in the first 2 years of him being alive, almost dying, with an oxygen machine, 24/7 nurse care, her learning all these medical practices and not knowing what to do. With modern medicine, she started leaning into more homeopathic, holistic ways. She got in touch with essential oils and she started using essential oils in his regimen and noticed a big difference. And then she advocated for him. She went to all these different doctors. She said, here's the proof. I've been getting all this together. This is that. And now they're part of his regimen. and she teaches other people. So in the past 14 years, her son has been to the hospital once, and it was for a surgery that they planned out. So that is the difference that essential oils can make for you. It's rewriting epigenetics. It's rewriting family history. It's rewriting trauma in the body. There's just a multitude of benefits. And I am not a professional, but I do benefit from the experience. And if any of you are curious, Terry Pace, the woman to see with the knowledge. And then
Terry Pace, like
Terry,
PACE.
PACE. She's amazing.
Okay.
She just knows so much about essential oils, and anyone who's interested can contact me on her behalf. Like I said, we're having a seminar on October 9th. It's 5 to 8. There's going to be dinner at Pace's Steakhouse in Hauppauge. It's going to be Dr. Brunen Graber. He's going to speak on neurology. And then Terry's going to speak about essential oils and the effect they have on the body. Aging, they're reversing aging, 7 years minimum of aging process. But
Wow.
there's so many different things. So I'm very excited for this. And then we talked about sound therapy, the effects of nature, crystals, prayer, living deliberately or on default, and the importance of being grounded, and your relationship between you and you defines the life that you live. Ash, anything to add before we... Oh, acupuncture. Acupuncture is another great one. Thank you, Burr. We appreciate you. I mean, I love chiropractic too. There's so many modalities that help. I love my chiropractor. Dr. Brunen Graber is one of my favorite people on the planet. My recovery through this concussion, it literally is so much owed to his magical, miraculous capabilities. We love that man. Okay, so Ash, I'm sorry, I asked you and then got distracted by...
That's okay.
Yeah.
No,
we already mentioned sound, Val.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, I'm glad everything is going okay with your car accident, and your doctor's appointments are going okay. There's not gonna be like... I wanted to ask you because like you were in that car accident. But is there anything like neurological, or is it just like the concussion, or like what is...
There are still things. I mean, it's a day-by-day process.
Right.
And one of the things that I feel so blessed by is that immediately I started getting care with Dr. Brunen Graber, and then I've been also working with my Buddha master, and the combination of physical medicine and then also energy work has been miraculous. I had all this swelling in the back of my head. I couldn't think straight. My sentences and comprehension weren't clear. My memory was shot. The first week and a half was just really hard with a lot of pressure and swelling. And when I could call my Buddha master and finally have the conversation with her about what had happened, and working through modalities for healing, she, as usual, gave me all this knowledge and insight about these different healings. And she's someone that she works with terminal cancer patients and people who are told that they're terminal, or they don't know how to navigate through healing something. I've seen her, one of my most impactful experiences is there was a woman who had 44 tumors on her body and went to go see Nancy and was like, how do I heal this? I know I can heal this energetically. And she did the energy work with Nancy for a few weeks. And then a few weeks later, she had to go back to the doctor to get a scan to check out the same area to see what the doctors were looking for was what's going on with the tumors and how have they accelerated, or have they accelerated? And nobody was more astounded than her team of doctors when she went in, got a scan, and had no tumors.
Wow.
And they're like, how is that possible that you went in with tumors and now a month later you have no tumor? How, what? And we don't realize how capable we are of healing ourselves or even others by the energy that we give to something. Um, and there's multiple things that I know of, people I've met that do healing like that, or experiences that I've had with Nancy, experiences I've had with myself, and even this most recent concussion being one of them, because I was saying I had all this swelling in the back of the right side of my head, and it was so hard to I felt like I was drunk and foggy at the same time. And a weekend of doing work with her, I did the work, and then Monday when I woke up, I had so much clarity back. I felt like myself. Am I completely out of the woods? I'm working through it. But like, am I so much better than where I was at? 1,000%. And then
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too. You are a month into having enlightened visions. Congratulations.
Oh, yay.
Tell us, what is your experience now? Okay, first of all, there's so many parts to this. You're a business owner, you're taking your personal spiritual practices, sharing them with others, having people come in to sit with you and do readings and healings, and then I can speak from experience with Zenshine that it compounds. What you experience with the gamut of people who walk through your door compounds your own personal practices and expands your knowledge. So, what's happening with you?
So there's a lot that went into this, a lot of mindfulness, a lot of intention. And so I've had, like, I do the readings in person. Um those have like went into left field, and so I just go with the flow. And as you went back to the beginning of, you wish you could just promote yourself as, let's just come in and have a conversation. And that's what's been happening, is watching people shift, and their perspectives and changing. And matter of fact, I even did an energetic chakra cleansing through energy healing I've never done before. Never thought to do this, but intuitively, as I was in like a channeling state, I started moving energy through this woman's chakras and cleaning them out. And you could see, like, she had no idea I was doing it until afterwards, and it was just, it was amazing. And so I've been going to people's houses. um I did that because I knew this person. I did do that because she was my hairdresser. But also, like yesterday, I did a reading because people were booking with me, and she was like, "Do you want to know why I booked with you?" And I was like, "I would like to know, sure." And she was like, "Well, because my company is enlightened, da 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 da." And she was like, "And I seen yours, Enlightened Vision. I was very drawn to it. And this woman is scientific, and she writes patents." And it was just, and so it was amazing. I gave just the connection, and she's literally right down the road, like 30 minutes away from me. But in while doing enlightened visions, I'm also connecting with different energies, because my vibration has raised, and I stay in a high vibration. That has allowed for more clearing knowledge. People are coming to me that I didn't expect. On top of working with you, Teresa, and writing multiple books and the classes, and it's been a lot. So I did quit my job at UK after it took me many years to work my way up through the chains to get there. I decided no more. Like, the energy was too dense for me. I learned lessons that I needed to learn, but it just, my entire body physically was, I was getting knots from head to toe. I was sick to my stomach. I was getting migraines. I was getting headaches. It was not good. The day that I left, no joke, the day that I left, I did not hurt in all of those places. Like, that pain dissipated. And
Yep.
so it's been being able to, my friend Amber, who's on here, she was like, how are you going to balance all of this stuff? And um, being able to also be at home and be with my kid and with my wife and helping with the emotional things that are going on with the death of, Kelsey's father, and cleaning out his house. Everything is falling into place, and doors are closing where other doors are opening, and it's going into I'm all I know is that to trust the universe and be in the moment, and don't try to control it or predict it, because when you do that, you're putting a brake on it, or you might change the direction. And so I cannot wait to see where Enlightened Vision goes. And Teresa, the reason why I even asked you about your car accident is because, like, I remember when you first got into the accident, you did sound drunk, but this is a show about healing, right? So we're talking about healing and using modalities. And so I was like, how are you? Because honestly, I was reading these types of egos, and I was like, shoot, I did not ask her how her doctor's appointment went earlier. Because you and
Oh,
I, when we talk, we just instantly like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. What do you think about this? Like, we just immediately go into like a different vibration, right? And so um, I wanted you to show the audience of all the modalities that you use for healing, because when you did sound drunk, your voice was different, you couldn't gather
so
your
true.
thoughts. But I tell you what, you held it up. Like, you definitely would you put people first, and as well as yourself, but you still like stayed in contact with your friends, and you had people that surrounded you. I mean, things were going on simultaneously with your boyfriend and his mother and child, and it was just it's amazing to see you go from the car accident to where you are right now. And you can see that these healing aspects and modalities that you use are very evident. And it's nice to be able to bring this information on this show, and show others the way that we use healing modalities. I keep saying modalities, but
Well, I mean, to me, okay, so getting through the concussion so far, I have wonderful friends, okay, and I think that, for the first one of the first things I did, because we were scheduled to have the podcast with Peter, you and I, to talk about soulmates, soul twins, companions, twin flames, all that. We're still going to have that. It just at some point later, but I was like, that's going to have to be canceled because that was the following day and I'm not there. The first 48 hours was shock, and not like, oh, I'm surprised I was in it, but I mean body brain shock, and not really with anything. And I called my doctor and I've been seeing, I had actually had a car accident a couple years back, 6 years ago, and I got T-boned, and that's where I met Dr. Brunengraber, and we became very close. He's one of my best friends. He does this. He is a healer with so much love, whether it's chiropractic or nutrition or wellness or biological energetic synchronization technique. He brings it all to the table, and he takes his ego, puts it on the shelf, and he is so intuitive when he works on somebody. And what I love so much, because I've had experiences going to people, they fumble to know what they're doing. He just goes in and he knows what the person needs. And that to me is one of the biggest blessings of working with them. So he saw me and he's like, oh God, girl. I went there on Tuesday and he's like, you're slurring, you can't really talk right. You're coming in like my old grandma from like Boca Raton. You look like Bubby with your big sunglasses on, shifting through my room. And I couldn't walk straight. I was like, my sister was like holding my hand to walk me into the doctor. And he's like, and everything, light, sound, everything was painful. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do anything. And my head was just swollen and pressure, pounding, aching, so much swelling. My brain was really like jacked. So he did my first adjustment. I said, I want to do best and biological energetic synchronization technique, and I want to do the adjustments. Biological energetic synchronization technique does so many things for the body, but it helps you to navigate trauma. And most importantly, there's so many other benefits, but past life, present life, experience, the way that the brain operates is it's designed to keep you alive, even if trauma occurs. And as soon as trauma happens, it goes, oh, when I was doing this and feeling this way, this happened. And now that we identify that as a threat. And that's kind of how people build towards their anxiety, towards OCD. And sure. Hi, Val. Sorry, I was reading your thing. Teresa, may I ask what state you're in? New York. Here in my area, we haven't advanced much past medicinal therapy. I think it has a long way to catch up. I agree. I'm blessed to be surrounded by a lot of really fantastic healers, some of which are distance healers. Ash, myself, so being able to go through getting best work done and getting the adjustments. My first Tuesday, I was like, I didn't even realize all the places that my body hurt after the accident until like day 3. And then got my first adjustment, and I was like, my chest is hurting me, my hips are hurting me, my right hip's on fire, my arm and my elbow hurt, and my head is pounding. And he's like, I just would tell him whatever I was feeling, and he would adjust. He listened, and he didn't listen to my words primarily. He listened to my body, what my body was saying to me. When he's like, all right, lay on the table, let's scan you. And then he would go through my body, a lot of kinetic testing, feeling energy vibrations, being very drawn to where he needed to be. And then he adjusts what he feels the body's ready to allow to happen. And listening to the body is not something that we frequently do. And it's a big thing that I learned in a compounded way with him, is to listen to the body. And in order to listen to the body, we need to shut up. I know that's a little vulgar to say, but we're so good at being in our head. We're so good at being in the mental body. Shut up. Not everything you have to say is that important. And if it is, write it down, put it in a note bag, and, bring it up later. But for right now, just be here. So when I lay on the table, because of working with him, I have total trust with him. I just relax my whole body in his presence, because I know it doesn't benefit me to be tense or jammed up or wondering about what he's going to do, how he's going to. I'm not trying to control what he's going to do, because he has taught me through his practice the benefit of trust with the practitioners that you choose to work with. So I just lay there, and I trust that he's going to know what to do, how to do it for my greatest benefit. And then after going through, adjustment on Tuesday, go back on Wednesday, second adjustment, my eyes started to clear up. I could deal with the light. I still needed sunglasses everywhere I went, but I could deal with the light. And then adjustment on Friday. And then we had additional adjustments. We had one more in between. And then Nancy. I called Nancy over the weekend and was like, I don't know how long. First of all, what I know is that when we work with Source, when we work with Christ consciousness energy, we don't have to prescribe to physical ailments running our life. I still own a business. I'm still a person. I still have bills that need to be paid. I still have things to do. I still have people that I love, that I want to interact with. I still have pieces to make. I still love what I do. And I don't want to be robbed of that experience to do those things. Listening to the advice of others, Dr. B, drink your reactive magnesium. Huge. Magnesium is huge for the brain. So taking, and it's to support my brain. In healing, it benefits us to support our body. So many people are quick to add in painkillers or medicine, and I'm not criticizing, whatever you feel comfortable doing, but what I've personally learned is that my body knows how to heal itself if I support it and give it what it needs. What does the brain need, especially when it's injured? Magnesium, fish oil, omegas, things that reduce the inflammation and swelling. And these are things Dr. B and I knew in common. And as soon as I called him, say I was in an accident, I had a concussion, I'm not in great shape, tell me what you want me to do, tell me what time I need to come in, I'm there. Come get these supplements now, yesterday. I wish I knew about this sooner. I would have met you at the car when you got into the accident and started giving you reactive, he would have been right there with a straw. It's going to be okay, champ. Just take your reactive magnesium, So, I'll get you through. But my adjustments have been huge. But also understanding universal law. What Nancy teaches me is if we understand why was I there for the accident, and what is the energy that created it, and what happened metaphysically for physically to get there, and how could I facilitate my own healing in my metaphysical bodies to lend itself to my physical body. So this is what we worked on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we had the conversation. Okay, here's the tools. Think about it. Call me back. Sunday comes, meditated on it, slept a lot. I rested all weekend. I slept and meditated. That's all I did. And I think that's a huge thing too. And then when I woke up on Monday morning, Sunday, I woke up, I called her and was like, I think I understand now where you're coming from. Is it this? Is this it? Yes, that's it. Go do more of that and call me back. Okay, go do that. I was like, you know what? I need a shower anyway. I'll take a shower. I'll meditate more on that. And when I was praying and meditating in the energy, seeing myself well, understanding the components of what was going on inside my person before, during, and after, I could see, I could feel the shift taking place. And when I know this sounds crazy, but it's so beautiful. I said, self, I forgive you for being there when you were there to be in alignment with that accident. And I forgive the experience for happening. I was never mad at the guy. He's human. Everyone makes mistakes. It's whatever. But I was annoyed at the interference it had in my life because I'm always in a mojo. I'm very active and I don't like to not be active. But I need, so teaching me about forgiveness for myself, for being there, forgiveness for being in the situation, and then just love, meditating on love. So in that space that we were talking about, being in love, I was able to feel the higher vibrational frequency and say, as I achieve being in this space of energy, I'm putting this in my body. And Monday morning when I woke up, I felt like a rock star. This clump of swelling that was in the right side of my brain that was so obtrusive, obnoxious, it was gone. I still have a headache. I still have concussion symptoms, still have concussion, but I'm clear. I can't work to full capacity. I'm not, and I think a lot of people see me and they go, well, you sound great. You look great. You must be okay. And it's like, yeah, I am, thank God. But I plan events and shows. Like we have November 2nd, we have the Gratitude Gala coming up. I'm on the phone with the vendors, the location, getting things taken care of, making sure there's food, making sure there's music. And then I'm making my pieces and I'm on the phone with my clients and then I do my readings. And then I do a lot of work every day and I love what I do. So it's not work to me, but it's a full day. And now I don't have the battery to have that full day that I'm used to. I have a part of that battery to choose intentionally what I can pick and choose that I'm capable of doing. Like right now, the shows, the long hours, loud music, lifting up heavy boxes. I can't do my shows right now. I can make my pieces, I can make my jewelry, but like, so it's a little different. But the energy work, meeting with the chiropractic, meeting with supporting your body. I have not put any prescription pills in my body. The only thing I took even remotely like that was Advil, when it hurt. But really, I'm very homeopathic. I take a lot of natural approaches to these things. And my primary backbone is that our bodies are an energetic aliveness. And the layering that I'm mentioning to you, it sounds separate, but our physical body is vibrating very slowly, but it is an organism. It is alive. Every cell in our body is aliveness. Our gut bacteria, our brain, we're this, I see this a lot around people, this kind of dancing, moving, vibrating energy. And we're a physical being. We have an emotional, an intellectual, spiritual, psychic, auric. Where we have any kind of wounding or negative experiences or negative feelings, we have a healthier vibration when we clean that up. And that could be simple. What I said to my Buddha master as I've been working on it is, well, can we go back to the wounds that are in my past lives are dissolved. The past life that I've lived in the here and now life is dissolved. The wounds of the present dissolved. The wounds of the future dissolved. The wounds of other timelines dissolved. And like, can that work? And she's like, well, you're a fantastic creator. Try it out. See how it goes. And I mean, we're good. We're good. So I put a lot of stock into, you can say no to what you think has to be. If I have this concussion and I got to heal and it's one day at a time and it's going to take a really long time, and I could accept that and I could live into that life, but I don't really feel like that's in alignment with me. So right. I choose something different and say, well, show me Christ consciousness, God, my guides, 5D, show me. And I go to my teacher. As much as I can know, there's still so much I don't know. And I'm always going back to my teacher to say, hey, what do you got on this? And I feel like being the forever student, meditating, praying, being guided, looking for the answer, really helps you navigate the things that you go through. And for me, I don't think that the things that we go through are ever the end of the line or the when I meet, so like I've lived through a bunch of different experiences, mm-hmm. and none of the experiences that I've ever lived through to me have ever been the hard wall. Life goes on. We go on. We are the ones with the power. I'm going to define my life. I'm going to say who I am. Oh, you broke up with me. You don't love me anymore. Or, oh, I went through this, whatever experience. Okay. That doesn't define me. That ain't got nothing to do with the person I'm going to decide to be. I'm going to be the person that I want to be, despite what's going on with you or you or you or you or you, and stay right here. Because that's the only thing that I got, my relationship to me. So I think that is, what makes this happen.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing your experience. And you're always so informative. You always have so much information that I'm like, ooh, that's good. I gotta write that down.
I have, you and I both, and before we wrap this up, I'm super, super excited for Sunday. So Ash and I have been working on this class. I have a monthly meetup called Shadow Work and Surrender. And every time the subject is different. And I'm not telling any of you, because I tell no one what the subject is before we're sitting in the class. Some of the people who are in the class are like, can I know about what it's going to be about? No. You can't know nothing. I don't need you thinking about it before you get there. Don't. I'll let you know when you're sitting in the class. So they're like, what does it mean? So Shadow Work and Surrender is we have to identify the aspects of us, thoughts, feelings, beliefs that get in our way, that hold us back, that don't allow us to live our best life, to surrender to our greatness. And we are greatness. But sometimes being in the natural state of greatness feels funny to us because we're so used to living in the condition, the false thing, that it feels funny to accept that we can have the good thing, or we are the good thing, or we can believe in the good thing, or that the good thing can happen for us. So we have to go through a process of healing and exploring. And one of my big things that I talk to people about is if you don't believe in a higher power, if you don't really know what a higher power can do for you, it's okay.
Right.
We have to start with the truth. We have to start with the naked transcript. Peel it all down. So, okay, we understand we built a whole lot going on here. Peel it down to the raw state. Okay, now that we started from the raw state, however you feel, whatever you feel, what will we build from here? What needs repair from here? What needs acknowledgement from here to get to there? Well, if you don't believe or you don't have trust that their higher power is going to provide for you, then the next step would be to hold space and then seek that higher power. So then it's like, okay, I'm afraid, I have trust issues, I don't know if I can trust people, I feel alone, I'm having money issues, I just lost someone significant to me, or someone hurt me, whatever the case is, things that we go through in the human state. If we say, okay, pause right there. Let's take the experience as an objective experience instead of adding. Val says, I'm 64 years old. I've got a lot of peeling away. So it's not the age that we're peeling, it's the conditions that we're peeling. Or, for the most part, most of us are a mix of stuff. We're happy, we're sad, we hang on to these things, we release those things, we embrace these things. We want to be happy the same way we want to be healthy. We want to be loved. But it's understanding, what does it mean to be happy, healthy, and loved, or whatever else, prosperous? We know inherently that we're supposed to have a good life. And so now what am I going to do that's going to allow me to have a good life? And how am I going to create that? And what do I need to believe? So if it's trust issues, let's use that as the example. But if I say to you, well, just trust in a higher power and know that it'll be provided to you. What does that mean to you? Not much, because you don't have the experience and you don't have the real foundation of trust. So you need to provide yourself the foundation first. How do you do that? Exploration, curiosity, firsthand experience. That's what you and I went through to get to where we are.
Right.
So how do I provide you this foundation? You have to seek. I'm going to be your guide on the side and say, okay, and Val, I'll use you as an example. I know that you believe, I'm just using you. Val, if Val said to me, Teresa, I have trust issues, and I'm scared with certain things in my life, certain things make me worry. I say, okay, Val, let's accept that that's where we're at and work off of the foundation of, we have to peel away the fear, peel away the not knowing, peel away all that has happened. Let's be scientists and start with a fresh white paper, board, whatever you want to call it. Let's get into scientific method. Let's create a hypothesis. Let's create the first sentence, instead of a quandary of experiment that we're going to have, is God real? And can I trust God? And now we have to go through the scientific method. And the hypothesis would be, if I create space in myself, if I hold space for God to come into my life, if I slow down my habits, if I get gentle and soft and intentional and patient and in a state of ease, and stop operating or try to control my anxiety, can I do these things? and pray while I do it or meditate while I do it to experience a firsthand something with me and my higher power that will persuade me or help me to really see and feel that a higher power does exist and it does love me and it's there for me and I can trust that it will provide for me. Well, just the way that we are creating relationships between Ash and I or any of you with each other, I need to take that moment and understand that when I'm relearning my relationship to God, higher power, Christ consciousness, cosmic collective intelligence, the universe, I have to establish trust. I may get an experience, but because I'm inexperienced, I might miss that experience. And it whizzes past my head. A guide will be able to point it out, but I may not see it. So God, show me an experience I can't miss. Show me that you're real. And in my experience, humble heart.
Yes.
When I was first reached, I didn't know God existed for my whole life. I didn't go to God my whole life. I didn't talk about God my whole life. I didn't even believe God existed when I was a kid. I believed that something existed, but I didn't know what it was. And it was so controversial in my life that I just bounced out of all of it and said, okay, well, I'm a Wiccan. I believe in trees. Bye. See ya. I wasn't a Buddhist my whole life. So to me, I humbly went out. I was in a life experience. I walked out into the desert and I started having a conversation. And I have like a sarcastic kind of humorous way of being. So I read the book when I was a kid. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Which God, the young people don't know that book anymore. But and I said, hello, God, are you there? It's me, Teresa. I don't know if you exist. I don't know if you're real, but if you are real, I need help. And I need a place to live. I need an apartment. I need something that takes my cat. I need direction. I need a teacher. I need to understand why I'm living out west. I need to understand what I came here to find. I need to understand why I know things about people or I get messages about people, because this is before I understood who I was and why I was and the gifts that I was given. And then I go out into the desert and I'm humble. I'm just giving it all to God. I'm having a complete moment of surrender. Nobody taught me how to do that. I was guided to surrender that way. And when I gave my surrender, I gave full surrender. And in my class, in this shadow work and surrender class, I call it the pizza. I gave my whole pizza to God. Some people, if you don't trust God, you'll take a slice or two out because you're not sure if you're going to keep eating. And depending on the state of life that you're living, how deep in ego are you? Are you in a lack space? Are you in, are you abundant or are you lacking? Do you have a little? Do you have a lot? What does your mind say to you? You're going to be influenced by that around your pizza, around how many slices you're willing to give when you surrender. So in order to surrender completely, I'm saying, you know what, God, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm going to eat or not eat, but right now I don't care. What I care about is feeling better and finding out if you're real. Here's the whole 8 slices. Take the box included, even the little white table thing in the middle. All yours, God. Show me. I give it all to you because I want to know. I just want I want what I want. How do I get there? And in that experience of really heart-centered serenity, it was me, the mountains, the desert. That's it. Stars. I had no book. I had no religion. I had no one to tell me. I had no teacher. I had no guide. I had me and God. So the next day, I wake up in the morning after walking back from the desert and I get back to the hotel room and I get a phone call. This is so-and-so from so-and-so job. We'd like to have you in. And in Vegas, what I didn't know at the time is they had health cards, wealth cards, whatever. And it was, you had to have health cards to do a job. I couldn't get a job at McDonald's. I went to culinary school. I went to culinary college, and I was at the CIA Culinary Institute over in Syosset, not Culinary Institute of America. I went to 3 years of culinary school, and I can't get a job at McDonald's? I got to evaluate my life choices. But it's because I needed the health card in their corporation at that time.
Hey, Teresa, I'm sorry to bother you. I really have to go.
No problem. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, I love you too.
And then bounce out.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you guys. I love you.
So just to finish the story so you guys know it, the next day I get the job. I get the place to live. It accepts my cat. And I understand that God is real in that moment. And that's been such a defining moment for me. And that's how I can say for sure, when I talk to you and teach all of you or offer to you the things that I share with you, it comes from this premise of real solid connection and trust. And because from that moment I said, well, if God heard me here and I got this as the result, and I didn't have manifestation techniques or a book or a guru or a religion, I had me and God. So how far does this go? And when I made this claim to God, God, will you provide this, that, the other for me? My caveat to it was, if you provide this for me, I'm always going to believe in you. I'll have faith in you. I won't see this as a coincidence or this one time when I was 23 and I lived in Vegas and that happened and that was cool, but who knows? I will really have faith for the rest of my life. And then I got everything that I asked for. I got a place to live that accepted my cat. I got a job. I met Nancy, and obviously the rest is history. We're here on this podcast, and I'm telling you that a higher power exists, and you can believe in it and trust it. And I've had 23, I'll be 37 in November. Lots of years now that I've been walking this path, and it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done with my life. So on that note, I'm going to cut it. This was a wonderful time to be spent with you. We love you, and good luck with everything. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us on Instagram. On our Instagram or on our YouTube page. Lots of love, blessings. Love is the only thing that can touch you and surround you. Okay? Have a good night.